What it do? It's your boy DOA. I'm back. I told y'all I was gonna give y'all a breakdown of where black people really came from. Show y'all how we was the real Americans and the Aboriginal Americans. So, as promised, I'm back with it. Let me get my light and shit situated. But yeah. We gonna start off, show y'all this emblem of America. Well, not the emblem of America, but an emblem of America, I guess I should say. It's from 1798 by British engraver John Fairbairn. You can see right in the picture. They got, I guess, the forefathers over there to the right. But to the left of the lady. And then you got these two, what you can see is depicted as Indians, right there next to the lady. They got feathers in their caps and their heads, and they got bows and arrows. That's how you can pretty much show that they trying to represent them as Indians. And you can see the little afros on them and the skin tones intact. So there go one of your first clues. But see, it's a ploy that they putting on. The Masons then helped create this narrative, as well as the Boule. A lot of the older cats, just like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they all knew the truth. But you had people out of the Greek organizations who was literally sent to cover it up. Even before that, you had some of the chiefs capitulated to the Europeans' plan to kind of write us out of history as being the Aboriginal Americans. But the word Indi, the prefix Indi from Indians itself, Indi means of dark pigment. So, current day you see these $5 Indians, that's what we call them, $5 associated with the Dawes Road. People was able to pay $5 and get registered as an Indian on the census. Guess that was after the Indian Removal Act. So we call these light-skinned, these Disney-looking Indians, these Asiatic-looking Indians, we call them $5 Indians. And of course, you got your Elizabeth Warrens, who's obviously white, and they call themselves Indians just to, reap the rewards and the benefits from it. So I call them $5 Indians. Y'all know, some of y'all's grannies used to say, shut your $5 ass up before I make change. That's what they was referencing too. $5 Indians. Y'all know y'all grannies used to say y'all got Indian in y'all's blood. You know what I'm saying? I guess a lot of us just thought they was just saying that. But they really meant it. And the reason why a lot of them were very hesitant to just tell you flat out that that's what you were is because not only did they get written out, but they got smoked out, literally, by the Klan and I guess you could say white supremacists. They had a bounty on full-blooded Indians' heads after the Indian Removal Act. So a lot of our grannies, great-grannies, they was literally in hiding, hoping not to get sent west to like Oklahoma and, west of the Mississippi. So they was trying to avoid getting sent west, so they would keep their heritage under wraps. I got pictures upon pictures I can show you of Indians, well, I like to call them Aboriginal Americans, being depicted how they actually were instead of being whitewashed how we often see them. Here goes Chief Perryman, Legus Perryman, Chief of the Creek Nation. As I was saying, a lot of these chiefs, a fair amount of them got bought out. So in exchange for y'all know the Perrymans, I'm in Alabama right now. I also live in Kentucky too. Got deep roots in Kentucky as well. But there's a lot of Perrymen, like what you call it, not cemeteries, but like funeral homes. The Perrymans own a lot of funeral homes, and you know the Perrymans is kind of prominent blacks around some of these southern states. And I believe the reason being is because they took deals back in the day, like Legus Perryman or Lewis Perryman of the Creek Nation in Alabama. He led half his people away on the Trail of Tears. And the chief before him had proposed that his whole tribe go west for the Indian Removal Act, and they wasn't down with it, so they ended up killing that chief in his sleep. Well, when they appointed the Perryman as the new chief, he took the ones that was willing to leave, he took them away, and then a lot of us stayed. And I'm right here, I'm down in Alabama, kind of next to Decatur. I'm in a town over from Decatur, Alabama, and we got railroad tracks down here at the park by like the riverfront, and it marks the Trail of Tears. One of the depots where they started taking black people away. But if any of y'all's been to Decatur, Alabama, or you know any of the other cities in Alabama, you can see there's lots of black people down here. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny, but you don't see too many $5 Indians down here. All them funny looking Mexican type Spaniards, that's what I call them. They look like conquistadors or Asians. You don't get a lot of them down here. You know, they got some that they done brought in through the democratic regime to like work and shit like that, but they like new here. These ain't no long list of families from back in the day who look like these $5 Indians that you may encounter on the internet if you out here speaking the truth about our heritage. We're gonna go to John Wesley Powell. John Wesley Powell worked with the Bureau of Ethnology in the Smithsonian. He's one of the people who's responsible for getting rid of a lot of our artifacts and writing us out of history in exchange for the Indians of the plains, like the West Coast Indians, not out in California, because some of those, they not, I wouldn't say that they the Aborigines like us here in the SECC, which is the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex. So basically, there's lots of mounds. I don't know if y'all heard of the mound, but there's mounds all over the East Coast, from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And the mounds is like pyramids that's been covered up by grass and terrain over the years, because they're so old. These is like 10,000 plus year old pyramids. Some of the oldest pyramids, they older than the pyramids in Giza actually. But these are our people's artifacts. These was built by our people, black people, and they hold lots of bodies in them, mummified bodies and remains, and a lot of evidence that will show you that we are who I say we are. And the Smithsonian has put in a lot of work to see to it that these artifacts and things are covered up and hidden. But here I go. I'm gonna pull up John Wesley Powell. This off one of my Instagram accounts, Aboriginal.official. But look, Cyrus Thomas and John Wesley Powell, these are the two dudes who kind of worked in cahoots to get rid of us, get rid of our records. Now, John Wesley Powell, he was sympathetic to the West Coast Indians because he did a lot of exploring out on the West Coast, and those tribes like the Winnebagos and, you know, probably Comanches, Apaches, I can't even pull up all of their names right now, but you know, the Indians in South Dakota, these is a lot of the people who is going to try to claim that they was the first people of America, but they weren't. A lot of y'all have heard of like the Bering Strait, Indians that came over from Asia on the Bering Strait. Now these tribes out in the West Coast, they may have actually traveled over through Canada, Alaska, and all of that over the Bering Strait, but they're not the Aborigines. The Aborigines is us. That's who's been here since before they even got here. That's who are responsible for building these mounds. And these mounds are only on the East Coast. The Winnebago tribes and all those tribes out west, they don't have no mounds. And they don't have no artifacts of this age. But John Wesley Powell, he liked the West Coast Indians because they treated them nice. Our people out here, what they call the Mississippians, the Dina tribes, the Hopewell tribes, and the Fort Ancient tribes. That's what they call us. But we also had names, you know, like Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Yuchi, Iroquois, Algonquin. These are the tribes that they try not to acknowledge nowadays because they know that it's black people. But you can see right here, I can't remember where I got this text from, but I had to do a lot of researching to get this text. If I can pull it up, and I'll cite my sources on this video later, but you can see right here in the top right box, it says, however, John Wesley Powell and the director of the Bureau of Ethnology, a very sympathetic man toward the American Indians, had lived with the peaceful Winnebago Indians of Wisconsin for many years as a youth, and felt that American Indians were unfairly thought of as primitive and savage. So you see that it said peaceful Indians, as opposed to our tribes who was anything but peaceful. We went to war with them and we wasn't willing to give up our land and our territory. Only some of the tribes on the East Coast were, like the Lenni Lenape up in like Ohio area. They were kind of peaceful, and I'm sure some other tribes and individuals in our tribes were peaceful. I could give you some accounts, but for the sake of the shortness of this video, I won't go into depth. But y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want some more follow-up videos on this type of content, because I'll be more than happy to do it. But you can see down here, it says, were the mounds built by the Indians is the question. So we may never know the true answer to the question thanks to John Wesley Powell's seemingly benevolent and later ironic decision to reject all evidence that might contradict his assertion that early America had not been visited by any European, African, Middle Eastern, or any other non-Asiatic, non-native peoples. Voluminous amounts of irreplaceable historical data were lost, destroyed, or misplaced as a result of this decision. So they decided to get rid of this evidence because we also had evidence of us visiting other continents before the Europeans ever started sailing, and us like trading with peoples from other continents, like well before they thought people was able to get around to over the ocean. So they chose to get rid of this for the sake of their story. That's what they're saying. So we go down here. What I got highlighted down here? It says ancient civilizations built mounds from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico and from the Mississippi River to the Appalachian Mountains. But the greatest concentration of mounds are found in the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys. Here we go in this other block. It says, hence it will be seen that it is illegitimate to use any pictographic matter of a date anterior to the discovery of the continent by Columbus for historical purposes. But it has a legitimate use of profound interest, as these pictographs exhibit the beginning of written language and the beginning of pictorial art, yet undifferentiated. And if the scholars of America will collect and study the vast body of this material scattered everywhere over the valleys and on the mountainsides, from it can be written one of the most interesting something in the early history, but basically saying that we were civilized before they want you to know that we were civilized. So they got rid of all the writings and pictographs that happened before Columbus. We had Hebrew writings in these mounds, and all of it would just point to the fact that it was black people that built them. Even on other tracts of land like Egypt and everywhere else that you see pyramid-like structures built, it's always people that look like me, or is highly melanated people who's built these pyramids. So it's no wonder that they keep these pyramids of America under wraps, because they don't want you to know. They know who they would have to attribute it to. So let's go see this. We'll go to the Stonewatch newsletter. It says stone coffins discovered in 1892 in Alabama, which were sent to the Smithsonian Institute and then lost, according to the newsletter. So this to make my point that the Smithsonian was getting rid of these stone coffins, all of these. They pulled a lot of bodies from out of these mounds or pyramids, and usually when they pull bodies out like that, they test them against DNA to see whose ancestors they were. But they have not tested any of these bodies that they had pretty much illegally excavated from out of our pyramids. It says, when the contents of many ancient mounds and pyramids of the Midwest were examined, it showed that the history of the Mississippi River valleys was that of an ancient and sophisticated culture that had been in contact with Europe and other areas. It says, not only that, the contents of many mounds revealed burials of huge men, sometimes 7 or 8 feet tall in full armor. So they was pulling big shacks, you know what I'm saying? Kevin Garnett's and shit from out of these mounds and coffins, some of these places, and they don't want you to know, because you look at the people who's claiming to be Native Americans now, these $5 Indians, they usually short of stature. Most of them are super small, you know what I'm saying? They don't have any real, what we would consider giants. Nobody is 7 foot tall, have I seen, in these Native American, reservation Indians, you know what I'm saying? So It's just more facts that they want to keep hidden. But yeah, even here where I'm at, close to where I'm at, most of y'all have heard of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm not in Tuscaloosa. I'm further north. Like I said, close to Decatur, Alabama. But Tuscaloosa itself literally means black warrior. And the Black Warrior River runs down even up where I'm at, all the way down close to like middle Alabama towards the south Alabama. And it's called Black Warrior River. Tuscaloosa is called Tuscaloosa. The city is named after the chief. Chief Tuscaloosa. The Spaniards gave him this name because it meant black warrior. So you can see they described him as black, a black warrior. He also was super tall. They say like probably like 7 feet tall. And yeah, like why would they name him Black Warrior if he wasn't what you would call black, which is what they call us now. But in the beginning, we was the copper-colored races of America, which is fitting. As if you put a penny, if you were black and you watching this, put a penny up against your skin, and copper comes in a lot of tones. You could see it when it's darker. Also, when it's buffed and lighter, we got a red undertone to us. Even the light-skinned ones of us, these like Cherokees. Cherokees was light-skinned, larger foreheads. We have pronounced foreheads. Part of my family is Cherokees. But let me see. I'll pull up this slide so y'all can read. Y'all can pause and read this. It's an account from Hernando de Soto's encounter with Chief Tuscaloosa. And I'll pull this up, put it up on the screen so y'all can pause and read it. I'm trying not to make the video too long, so I'm gonna move forward. But here, I will hit y'all with this though, because this is where I live. I live off the Jesse Owens Parkway, and I'm near Oakville Indian Mounds Park, which is right next to the Jesse Owens Memorial. And y'all familiar with Jesse Owens? I put this picture up so y'all can see it. Jesse Owens running with the Mohawk. Mohawk Indians is from up in the New England area, like Connecticut. I think Rhode Island too, maybe. And of course, they was black. The Wampanoags. Shout out to my Wampanoags out there. Another black tribe. But yeah, Jesse Owens himself from Oakville. And coincidentally, it's a mound or a pyramid right next to their memorial in Oakville. And at this memorial, I'll read to y'all one of the signs that's up at this museum at the mounds. And it says, before the Indian Removal Act in 1830, many of Lawrence County's Cherokee people were already mixed with white settlers and stayed in the country of the Warrior Mountains. They denied their ancestry and basically lived much of their lives in fear of being sent west. Full-bloods claimed to be Black Irish or Black Dutch, thus denying their rightful Native American blood. So this is crazy because this is part of my story and my family, is that my great-granddad, he registered himself on the census as Black Dutch. And for a long time, we thought he was also a fair-skinned man. He was very tall too. Coincidentally, I guess a lot of my family on that side are very tall men and women. My grandmother herself is almost 6 foot tall. She might be 6 foot. But yeah, my great-granddad, he registered himself as Black Dutch on the census, and he ended up getting a lot of his land back. He was able to own land by registering on the census as Black Dutch. So that's something that a lot of our ancestors did do. Those of you whose family might have land in the family, and they probably got some silly story to go along with it, or no story at all, because they don't want to tell you the truth that I'm ending up disclosing to you, which is that because they were in hiding, they didn't want to be sent west. So a lot of them, hid their heritage in order to end up getting the rights back to their land. So I hit y'all with one more thing, I guess, before I close this one up. Man, and remember, man, to like, share, and subscribe, man. I really appreciate y'all when y'all do that, because it keeps me going for real. I keep making these videos despite all the stuff that I run into while making these videos that try to deter me. When I get new followers, man, I feel like new subscribers, I feel like I owe that to y'all to just keep it going. But here go one thing I'll show y'all right here. The Delta Sigma Theta Sorority by Dr. Betty Shabazz. You look at this logo, and why is it a dream catcher? And a chick with locks with a dream catcher earrings in her ear. Like I was saying, a lot of the prominent figures, Black American figures, they knew this, but they kind of worked to cover it up, to hide it. They was paid off to hide it. But this is one more thing for my people in Alabama, man. They were the ex-senator Scott Beason. He was being investigated along with some of his peers for, I guess, some type of misappropriation of funds. But him and some of his colleagues, they were in there speaking because they was trying to get a casino opened up and down in Alabama, I think in Greene County, like Utah, Alabama. And they was talking about how they was gonna get the vote passed. And Senator Beason was on record calling the black people of Greene County Aborigines. And of course, through that, there was some fallout, and they ended up, I think they made him resign, but they definitely tried to cover it up, made him come and apologize for his comments. But the other senator who he was speaking with, he was asking them, like, how you gonna get the black people in your county to vote for this casino opening up or whatever? And they was planning on busing them to the polls, giving them some money or something like that, giving them some food or something like that. But that other senator has said, he said, those is your Indians. And Senator Scott Beason corrected him and said, no, they're not Indians, they're Aborigines. So, they made him apologize as if he misspoke. But how? Like, why? Who misspeaks like that? I've never called somebody an Aborigine when I meant to call them black. You know what I'm saying? It's just, if anything, it's a Freudian slip, because he knows the truth that the black people in Greene County and around the rest of Alabama is really Aborigines. And they was just really having a heart-to-heart conversation between two white men that they did not know was being taped by the FBI. And that's just one of the things the tape picked up. You know what I'm saying? So the candidness in their conversation, while thinking that they wasn't being recorded, that it was just a conversation between two good old boys. And that's what the FBI caught on that tape, was him calling us Aborigines. So I'm gonna put some more pictures up here, man, in the video, so I can just show y'all some of the depictions of us, and many depictions of us as being the real Indians. But like I said, man, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. And Yeah, like the video if you like the video. If not, come back, argue it in the comments, do whatever you want. But I'm gonna keep coming with the content. My apologies again for the delay, but we're gonna try to keep it going from here on out. So, man, as always, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.